Uh-oh. What happened here? We're live. Welcome to Week 5, college football, wide right CFB. We got caught watching a game right now, and if you're a ref for the Big 12, you should be fired today. Welcome into the stream. He's the Beast from the East. He's the assistant to the president of the Doug Flutie fan club, and his picks are lead pipe. Lindsay, what's going on?
I wish my picks were that good this week. I took it on the chin on a couple of these.
Hey, you got to handicap it for the rest.
That's true.
You got to let them have it. So, excuse me for my tardiness. I was in the middle of trying to figure out why it said it ended broadcast. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. We'll see what happens. All right. Our next panelist, he covers the West Coast like no other. He's a fan of the Trojans. That's USC it is. Please welcome cool Jude Santa Cruz. What's going on, Jude?
What's up, guys?
Hey, Jude.
What's going on, everyone?
We're just sitting there hanging out. Hunter's going to be in a few minutes. He's finishing watching the Texas game. And then we have a special guest tonight joining us from Dripping Springs, Texas, America, Mr. Christian Whitley. He'll be on here with us. So.
Nice.
All right, Christian. I'll send your link here in a little bit, bud. I promise. You're gonna love his email address too. I'm not gonna say it out loud. I'll put it in the backstage. So, all right, guys. So, what do you think about today's games? Do you want to see something cool? Let's debut something cool here. I want to show y'all a little something. Check it out. Results from the games today. Now, we have to get some updates. I need to check some scores. I think currently Georgia is losing to Missouri. And I think if you lose to Missouri, they kick you out of college football, if I'm not mistaken. We had some upsets today, too.
Yeah.
Big time upsets. Now, let's see. What do we have? Let's check current scores. Yeah. All righty. Georgia is down right now late in the fourth quarter. 8 minutes to go. Well, that's not late. It's midway through the fourth quarter. Missouri has the ball. They are up 22-19.
Ooh, Georgia made a comeback. It was 19-6 a minute ago.
I mean, come on here, Georgia. You think you have to you can't give up. You can't lose to Missouri. You just can't. It's not possible. So tonight, I think we're gonna have Lindsay in charge of the chat. Lindsay, if you don't mind, I'm on banner patrol, so
sure.
I'm definitely gonna not be in the chat a whole lot. All right, so let's get into it. We got our crawl here with the top 25. Let's talk about number 25, Kansas State, bringing them down, knocking down old Texas Tech. A week after Texas Tech beats Texas in Lubbock, it looks like they go to Manhattan, Kansas, and they get kind of pushed around a little bit. What do you think, Lindsay, on that game? Did you
this bums me out. This was my upset that I picked Texas Tech to win.
So when you say you're upset, do you mean you were upset because Texas Tech didn't win, or was that it's my I'm upset pick?
I am upset because my prediction was wrong. My upset prediction, yeah. So
we will forgive you on this one.
Oh well, thank you. But it's an interesting result on this game because Texas Tech had it all over Kansas State in the air. Passing yards were very lopsided, but they didn't bring their running game at all, and that's where Kansas State took care of business. They got 343 total rushing yards, and the yards per play, they had over 2 yards longer per play on the field than Texas Tech did. Even though they had about 5 minutes less time of possession, they really took care of business, and they did it more efficiently than Texas Tech did. So they get the win well into them. Congratulations. I'm just bummed out that I got the prediction wrong.
Well, that's all right. Every once in a while we have a goose egg out there. So, Jude, what do you think about Tech versus Kansas State today?
And Texas Tech, after the crazy upset they had last week, they just blew their wad, I guess. Kansas State played tough, and they are a tough team. They're showing us that we may have something to look forward to. We get to watch them play some of these Big 12 games. So, looking forward to the rest of the season.
All right. Well, let's talk about a game that's currently going on right now, and that's number 24, Pitt, who is down to Georgia Tech, 9-7 right now, and we're start of the fourth quarter.
How was that even possible?
Well, so does the mental aspect of this play into it? we got rid of our coach this week. Maybe the team is fired up. Maybe they're ready for this guy to leave.
Could be.
They're just like, the hell with this guy. So that's a game that we're going to keep watch on. I'll update the ticker once it goes final. The banner once it goes final. It's not the easiest thing to keep track of. That's definitely pass interference. Sorry, we're watching the game. My son's losing it right now. It's definitely pass interference. I promise you that. All right. So we'll keep updated on that. Let's scroll down to where is number 23? Who do we have? Number 23.
Florida State and Wake Forest.
Florida State, Wake Forest, which was a good game. I don't think that I think that Wake Forest is kind of, they're kind of my opinion on this game is I think Wake Forest, I watched most of the game. I think Wake Forest they looked a little tired. Maybe they played some big games. They played Clemson down to overtime. They had a tough game the week before where they scored a bunch of points. They just look kind of flat. Florida State's a good team. Mike Norvell's a good coach. They play good defense. It was close, but it wasn't close enough to worry. It just wasn't like a great game. What do you think on that one, Jude?
Yeah, the Wake Forest, they were a little bit sluggish after that tough loss last week against Clemson. Florida State, yeah, they popped into the top 25. It was good for them. It's a traditional program, but that's strong in the rankings. But they're still in a rebuilding stage, and it's going to be a while before they crack the top 15 or top 10 even. So, bravo for them for showing up, and playing hard. But isn't it weird to say that Wake Forest is now, the team you expect to win that game?
Yeah.
Go back to the Bobby Bowden era, man. He's probably rolling over in his grave somewhere.
Yeah, but congratulations, number 22 Wake Forest. They take care of business. They play a tough conference opponent. They play them, they do exactly what they need to do. And so that's what you're looking for when you go out there. Lindsay, what do you think on this one?
I picked this as my game to watch this week, and I'm glad I did. It was a very good game. And I picked Wake Forest to win 31-28. They won 31-21. So I feel pretty good about that. And breaking down the game, I think that the big difference here was penalties. Florida State had 11 penalties and gave Wake Forest 96 yards. And if you're going to give your opponent the length of a football field in penalties, you got no one to blame but yourself when you lose. And I think that was the case here.
Yep. All right, well, let's roll up to number 21. Purdue goes to Minnesota, and they just take Minnesota to the woodshed. They just roughed them up. It was tied going into the fourth quarter, but in the fourth quarter at home, you should be able to score points. You're an undefeated Minnesota team. But you're without your. I think your quarterback goes down with injury, or your quarterback has a bad game. I think he turned the ball over like 3 times, and your number one player, Mohamed Ibrahim, was out for the game. So, you gotta. That's going to affect you, but still, you're at home. You got to find a way to win this one. So,
next man up. You've got to recruit players that can play, not just watch the stars play.
All right, Lindsay, what are your thoughts on this one?
I agree with it. I think that Minnesota really needed to bring in more than they did. Purdue did a very good job on the ground. They had a very good running game today, and that was the difference here. I'm surprised that it wasn't a little higher scoring than it was. The defenses were a little bit better than I gave them credit for. And I think overall it was a good game. And even though Purdue doesn't have the record that Minnesota has, I think that if they keep turning in performances like they did today, they'll be doing pretty well for themselves down the road.
All right, I'm going to skip over number 20 Arkansas and number 2 Alabama. We're going to kind of save that for the back end of the top 5, right? Or the top 25, where we talk about the number 1 teams. It was a good game. We'll cover that in a second. Let's hop back to Thursday night. Let's go talk about BYU hosting Utah State. And for the most part of the game, up until like probably midway through the third quarter, BYU really struggled with Utah State. Now it's an in-state rival. BYU looked very average in the first half. Jaron Hall, he looked good, but he didn't look great. You know what I mean? They were leading, but it didn't look dominant. It's not like the beginning of the season where they had all this momentum. They looked like this dominant team. we come out on Thursday night. We look a little flat. I know Thursday night games, sometimes it's hard for guys to get up for those games. Lizzie, what's your thoughts on BYU and Utah State?
I think it was a well-played game. It was fairly evenly matched. The score was back and forth. I personally enjoy games like that take it down to the wire. And there was good scoring in all four quarters. So they're fairly high-powered teams that brought their A games. I think that Utah, even though they lost the game, I think they did very well for themselves despite their record. So I hope it means that they're going to be improving as the season goes, because I thought that they gave it a really good effort, and they really don't have much to hang their heads about in this one.
Jude, what are your thoughts on this one?
Jared Hall wasn't spectacular, but he did ultimately do what it took to win the game. You know, he threw for almost 300 yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns. The BYU had a hard time stopping Tyler. I don't know I believe his name is Tyler, the running back from Utah.
Yeah.
That kid had a good game, and he had whenever you have 100 yards, you know, in college football, especially now the way they chuck the ball around, you know, it's not much running. You know, to 18 carries for 104 yards, man. That's what 5 point something yards per carry. He had a good game, so it was a good, fun game. In-state rivalries are always tough matchups, so I enjoyed that game.
All right, so should we talk about the giant elephant in the room? Anybody like that? Boomer,
you there?
Yeah. Knock, knock. Who's there? Not Oklahoma. So it looks like West Virginia may have just recovered an onside kick. The referees are definitely wearing blue and gold underneath their shirts, I think. Texas got it. All right. Giant elephant in the room. Number 18, Oklahoma. They traveled to Fort Worth. We're not talking like 100,000 miles away. They travel like in a couple hours. And they get crushed by TCU. And it wasn't close ever. It was 41. They gave up 41 points in the first half. It could have been 80-0. I mean, let's be honest. And the referees, if we talk about the bad Big 12 referees, they kept Oklahoma in this game. I mean, like, this should have been a mercy killing by them. They should have just run the clock. But instead, they go and they allow Oklahoma to take a vicious beating. And they try to keep them in there because they're trying to protect Oklahoma for whatever reason. But, I hate being a conspiracy theorist. But, as the resident Texas homer, I will be the conspiracy theorist. But with that said, Oklahoma goes down. They give up 27 points in the first quarter, 14 in the second quarter. They give up another 14 in the third quarter. They finally score a mercy touchdown in the fourth. They lose 55-24. Jude, what are your thoughts on this game? I mean, like, just a brutal beating.
Wow. Don't know what to say. Did not expect this at all. But that's 2 weeks in a row, man. Oklahoma's kind of showing us what they got. Maybe they were all Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley. Who knows?
Man, it looks like the best part of Oklahoma might be in Jude's hometown. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying. Lindsay.
Number one Buckeye.
You got to. What are you going to tell Oklahoma fans right now? What are you telling them?
I'm going to tell them what number one Buckeye just said in the chat. Oklahoma drank some bathwater. I think you're right. They did something to hurt themselves because they were dominated in every aspect of this game. Total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, yards per play, first downs, third down efficiency. I mean, everything they had wasn't enough for TCU. I don't know if it was just a fluky thing that TCU would come out like this against OU, but TCU's got a perfect record so far this year. And Oklahoma, I'm going to predict Oklahoma will drop out of the top 25. This is not really a good time for them lately.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of teams itching to get in, so Oklahoma's done.
We're going to talk about a few of the teams outside looking in. We're going to take a little timeout right now. We covered a few. Let's take a timeout. Let's talk about a couple things of business. Now, number one, we need to cover our 500 subscriber giveaway. Now, it's going to happen the night of the Heisman. So we have to hit 500 subs, and you have to be a sub. We'll put out a video that morning. You like that video, you comment on it. We'll put it in a little winner generator, and then you could be a winner. What you're going to win are 2 shirts, just like this, right? Wide right CFB. You can't see the bottom because I'm not standing up. you're going to win a football signed by the Wide Right CFB crew, including myself, Hunter, and Lindsay at least. Jude, we may have to mail in a signature. Not sure on that one. You're also going to win a $50 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings and another $50 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings. But we have to have 500 subs by the day of the Heisman. We're going to release a video. Everybody's going to have to like it. So if you're a fan of Buffalo Wild Wings, you're a fan of T-shirts, you're a fan of a football, and you're a fan of Wide Right CFB, you've got to go and get everybody you know. Get your mom to create 10 burner accounts. Sign up. That'll increase your chances of winning. So sign up. Wide Right CFB on YouTube. Easy enough. We're going to get to 500 subs. It's going to be perfect. So, all right, let's hop into some comments. Let's say hi to some folks on the air. Let's talk about our number one fan, Diabolical 58. John, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Let's go. Christian, there's Christian right there. Everybody say hi to Christian.
John? What's up, Christian?
Number one, Buckeye, OHIO. They look good today. They look good today. We got Doug Schmitty71. What's going on, Doug? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, the brown M&M in the house.
Yeah, the brown M&M's here. Miguel Martinez, what's up, my brother? How are you doing today? We got Raging Cajun Garage. What's going on, Raging? It's good to see you. Commander Val, and that's my son, Hunter. He's going to hop on here in just a minute once the Texas game wraps up. And then, yep, Hot Wings. Miguel's a fan of Hot Wings. I think we all are. We all are. Christian, you're eligible to win, Christian. You got to sign up. Well, actually, your dad's got to sign up, but you're eligible to win. Everybody's eligible to win. Let's just get 500 subs. Let's knock this thing out. So
yeah, tell your friends, tell your family. If they're not college football fans, make them be college football fans, because this has been, and I will admit, I'm having way more fun than I thought I would have, because I was not the biggest college football fan in the world. But when you're into it like we are, it gives you a whole new, all new things to look at and reasons to watch. And I'm having a ton of fun. So join the fun, bring the family and friends in, let them know. It'll be a good time.
Are you a fan of beer? If you're a fan of food and beer, you're a fan of Wide Right CFB, because we're bringing it to you. Are you a fan of clothes? I mean, on me, you're a fan of clothes. On the stripper, maybe not, But if you're a fan of T-shirts, Wide Right CFB is where you want to be. Do you need a football? Would you like to go play catch? Do you need something to rest your head on? Wide Right CFB's got it for you. Sign up. Let us know.
Hey.
We will ship the stuff to you. What's up, Jude? Give me some knowledge.
Speaking of being a fan of beer, I know I've got a buddy who does a live stream on Tuesday nights that doesn't like that word. He makes us cover it up with koozies if we're drinking it. But are we cool to drink a beer on our stream?
Man, this is Wide Right CFB. If you're not drinking beer, there's something wrong with you. I mean, this is man laws, right?
I'll be right back.
All right.
We'll be right back.
While we're in a timeout, Jude's going to go get his favorite frosted barley treat.
Beer's okay. Meth is not.
Lindsay and I are going to hang out.
Yes.
So we're going to hop back in at number 17 when we come back. So fans, get ready. Put in your teams to watch, your scores, your games, all that stuff. All right, Jude, what are we drinking tonight? Does it start with an M and end with a light?
Yes, sir. Same thing we drink every night.
Yes, sir. Vida es bueno. We got some Miller Lite. I love it. My son's over here. He's trying to go find him a Miller Lite right now, I think. He may have to go to the store.
And we talk about having backups that can earlier, next man up, this guy's about to go down, but he does have a backup. So,
good plan.
I love it.
Hey, Miguel Martinez has a question for us.
Right.
He wants our input. He says he hears that college football can be better than pro football. What are our thoughts on that?
All right. So I like college football because you only have X amount of, there's X amount of possibilities. You see some of these kids growing up, they're coming in from all over, right? So, some of these kids, you have relations, ties, they're from your hometown, they're from your state. I like that, And then college football just has this atmosphere that pro football just can't create. If you watch a college football game, you hear the crowd, you feel the energy from the crowd. I think it's just something that you just can't get out of a pro game. Now, there are some pro games that, are pretty intense, but nothing like college football. I mean, Jude and I will agree. We have watched the greatest college football game ever played. Would you agree on that, Jude? That you and I have watched that game. We've watched it at the same time. It didn't fall in Jude's favor. But it was probably the greatest game
Yeah,
ever played. Would you agree?
Yeah. I'm gonna say that Rose Bowl was probably the greatest college football game I've ever seen. Absolutely, it went in the favor of the Burnt Orange that night, but man, it was fun to watch that game.
Absolutely. So Pat Paulson's ringing in. He goes, he's a fan of college football because there's way more spinal injuries. Pat, couldn't agree more with you.
For me, one thing I'm enjoying out of college ball is I'll give you a perspective that I had in my years as a baseball umpire. I used to umpire high school ball and adult ball, and I got a real appreciation for high school and college ball as a result because unlike the pros, these kids are not as refined in their skill set. So the games can be more exciting because they're less predictable. They can swing wildly at any moment. Nothing is for sure in these games. And it's fun to watch sometimes the X factors that these kids have at their particular skill levels because anything can happen. And sometimes it does. And it makes for a very exciting time during the ball game.
Yep. All right. So let's get back into it. Let's hop back into our top 25. We got about 10 minutes. We'll take another timeout. Let's bring Christian on here in about 10 minutes, and then we'll have some fun. Hunter will be on here in just a few minutes. We're going to get after it. Update from the Georgia Tech-Pittsburgh game. Georgia Tech still leading. They have the ball, and I think they're inside the Pittsburgh 20. We have an update from Clemson. They're leading North Carolina State 23-13, and Georgia has taken the lead. Georgia fans, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. There's going to be a tomorrow. I promise. If you don't win by 50, there's still going to be a tomorrow. You're still a damn good football team. All right? Take a deep breath. You're good. All right.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
My University of Southern California Trojans have taken a 7-0 lead on Joey Preciado's Arizona State Sun Devils.
Jude, we're gonna have to handicap the USC Arizona State game. If USC doesn't win by 40, it's an L. Okay, we're holding up an L.
Wow,
an L.
What was the actual spread? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I think they probably didn't give a spread on that one. I would have backed away on that one big time. All right, we have a final in Austin. Texas takes down West Virginia. A lot to not a lot. All right, let me send I gotta send Christian an email. Let's start with number 17, Texas A&M. Going to Starkville, Mississippi, and laying an egg. Oh, if you're A&M fans right now, are you wondering what kind of team are we? Are we just always going to be on the front door, on the front steps, looking in? Are we ever going to get a chance to go celebrate like the big dogs do? Are we just going to be that little puppy over there, like, hey, what about me? What about me? What about me? What are we going to do? Lindsay, tell me if I'm an A&M fan right now, what am I doing? Am I driving to the store? Am I buying lots of alcohol? Am I going to go? Am I finding another sport to watch? What are we talking about here?
Don't stick your head in an oven. It's not that bad. But holy cow, I don't know how A&M lost this game. First of all, this is my upset pick of the week, and I could not have been more wrong. I picked A&M to win. I mean, sorry. Wait, we're in A&M. I'm thinking Texas Tech. Sorry. Let me.
It's Saturday night, folks. You got to cut some slack. Lindsay's been up all day. He taped his eyeballs open to watch college football all day today.
Okay.
Hey, what are you drinking, Lindsay? I'm drinking Miller Lite.
I just got water. Going on with a little bit of fruit punch.
What's in that middle cup?
All right, let me start again. The first part of what I said still is true. A&M, it's beyond me how they did this poorly against Mississippi State. I thought the game was closer than the score indicated until you start to look at the fact that they gave up 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, even though Mississippi State gave up 13 penalties for 138 yards, which blows me away.
We have an A&M fan in the house. Can you direct her over here? We have an A&M fan. She's gonna appear on camera. So fans of Wide Right CFP, please come over. Bring her over here so we can introduce A&M fans here. This is every A&M fan right now. Say hi. All right, you can go.
Oh,
this is every A&M fan.
Hey, I didn't know Dumbo was your neighbor. Was that Dumbo? Was that Dumbo Fisher?
We have an A&M fan sighting in the house.
Oh.
If you're an A&M fan today, not good. All right,
Yeah,
Jude,
you can relate.
If you're an A&M fan, what's going on? What is your thoughts tonight?
I don't know what you think because it's not like you can put Dumbo on the hot seat with that contract he's got. Isn't he like guaranteed full pop of that whole contract?
Yeah, I mean you're
I don't even know
bad position
to think about hot seats because look at traditional powers. They're Texas A&M is by no means a traditional power, but they're probably going to go 9-3 or 8-4, and next year go 10-2. And just like Nebraska is doing worse with Scott Frost than they did with Bo Pelini, if you replace Dumbo, who are you going to get to replace him? You know, you're a winning program. You should be happy with that. It's just you're not quite in the upper echelon of college football lore right now. You know, I mean, it's been a long time since I can't even think of his name right now. I had it on the tip of my tongue. But who's the famous Alabama coach?
Bear Bryant.
It's been a long time since Bear Bryant had the dog days of summer out there in Texas A&M. You know, they're no means that power.
All right, we're going to bring on Texas State's number one fan. You talk about somebody that needs a paper bag to put over their head. Welcome to the stream, Hunter. Hunter, what's going on tonight, son? How are you doing?
What's up,
Doing
Hunter?
just fine. Doing just fine.
What are you wearing gold suspenders?
Are you upset? No. Are you a fan of Pat McAfee, Jude?
Oh, it's gotcha.
It's Pat McAfee. Cool. So, Pat, if you're out there watching, you know, we'd like to hang out.
Enjoy some vitamins.
Yeah, vitamins. Well, we can't talk about that. All right. We're going to have to cover this game because we're just going to have to cover this game.
Speaking of vitamins, this morning I accidentally took my cat's medication. Don't ask me. Don't ask me, Al.
Don't ask me, Al. Oh, man. All right. We're going to cover this game because we have to. We got number 16 Baylor hosting number 9 Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State comes away with the victory, 36-25. Baylor had a huge third quarter in this game. They were down for a while, and then even Oklahoma State had a big quarter. But Baylor scores 22. Oak State scores 17. They kick a field goal to win the game, but there's no quitting the Bears. None. Let's talk about this game. Lindsay, hit me with some knowledge.
Well, I was a little surprised at this. I thought Baylor was going to turn a better performance, but still, 11-point differential on this one. Not that surprising when you look to see how they played. They should have brought a little more defense with them. Give up 36 points as they did. You're going to expect to be on the losing end of a good team like Oklahoma State. So I think that they held it down as best they could in the first quarter, but after the second quarter, it was pretty much a runaway for Oklahoma State. Even though Baylor did muster 22 points in the third quarter, they still not enough to make up that differential from early on because Oklahoma State turned it on pretty good. They got 17 points in the third quarter, 3 more in the fourth to close it out, and they shut out Baylor in the second and fourth quarter. So not nearly as much offense as Baylor needed, and certainly not nearly the defense to keep Oklahoma State at bay.
All right. I'm going to add it back to the stream. There he is. Everybody say hi to Hunter.
There he is.
Verizon, you stink.
Yes, we are all in agreement. Schmitty71 says the Huskers are up 35-21 over the Hoosiers. So, everybody, let's give a round of applause for Nebraska. All right. Jude, what are your thoughts on Oklahoma State and Baylor? Did you like the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was that third quarter was fantastic, man. 39 points put up in the third quarter. That's one of those exciting third quarters. But Oklahoma State, I expected them to win. Baylor is a tough team, but I thought they were a little bit overranked when they were in the top 10. Oklahoma State's gonna be 10-2. Unfortunately, that's just about where they always end up. But I am excited in 2 weeks to see Oklahoma State and TCU. Man, that's going to be a fireball of a game right there.
I mean, TCU plays back-to-back big games. They're playing Kansas next week.
Kansas.
I mean, Kansas got to be ranked by next week. I mean, they're 5-0. They took
I don't
down
know
the
how they
mighty
can't be.
Iowa State Cyclones. All right, Christian, your device is not connected to the internet. If you're watching, you need to try it again. All right, let's move on to Friday night's game, where the number 15 Washington Huskies travel to Jude's hometown of Los Angeles to play the Bruins from UCLA. And for the most part of the game, Washington got roughed up until late in the fourth quarter. Jude, you're the expert on the left coast. Let's talk about UCLA pulling down the W against Washington.
Surprised me. I did not expect UCLA to win that game. Washington, they had a valiant effort in the fourth quarter. I think they outscored UCLA like by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. But man, UCLA, what's their quarterback's name? Dorian Thompson Robinson or something like that. That
DTR,
guy,
man, DTR was like a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah, that dude had a pretty good game. 350 yards in the air, he had 3 touchdowns. Their running back had I don't know. I think he had $120 or something like that with a touchdown. They just look good all the way around.
Hunter, what do you think about last night's game? I know that you were busy hanging out with your friends, but I know you saw some of the game. What are your thoughts on DTR? DTR looked legit last night. Best he's looked in a long time.
He looked good. Man, he embarrassed Washington. He really did. But DTR looked really good. Looked like the hype finally was real for once on him. And this whole year, he's looked like the hype is real. Even that South Alabama game, he looked good in that game. It was the rest of the team that he needs the rest of the team to play with him at that level so that UCLA can make a run in the Pac-12. Because right now, they're the clear-cut third team in the Pac-12 behind USC, Utah, and then UCLA.
All right. No, what about Oregon?
No.
Lindsay, what's your thoughts on Washington kind of put up a stinker against UCLA?
Well, I like what Thompson Robinson was saying after the game. He said that he was reading articles all week. The people were putting them down, saying they were the worst 4-0 team in college ball, and they were written off. And he's happy that they could show them otherwise. And I agree with him. I'd love to see the fact that he quieted his critics. He was able to put the kibosh on all the naysayers and turn a solid performance. I think that even though when you break the game down and look at the stats, they weren't dominating in most aspects of the game, but they had some very good rushing yards going for them. The rushing game was going for them. They got a lot of rushing yards. They got 184 to Washington's 65, and they played a clean game. Not a whole lot of penalties, and they came out ahead because I think DTR had the chip on his shoulder that he needed to rally the troops and pull out ahead on this one.
All right, let's go and talk about – this is in my upsets of the week, but we're going to cover it anyways. Number 14, Ole Miss takes down number 7, Kentucky. If you were hoping Kentucky was going to be that Cinderella team, well, it's over for you right now. You're going to be kind of disappointed. It was a good game. It was a tight game. And Kentucky just shot themselves in the foot repeatedly.
So that's what the matter was with their kicker.
Yeah.
Someone shot him in the foot. That explains
something
that.
like that. I'm not sure. But, yeah, so they just, man, this is not Arizona. Breaking news. Arizona State just tied it up with USC. Jude, what are you thinking here?
And that 40 points not looking good.
Oh, no. All right. Jude, what are your thoughts on Kentucky?
I don't remember what I said my score was going to be, but I did pick Ole Miss to win this game. I'm stoked that they did. It was tough. I mean, they had to force a fumble late in the game to keep Kentucky, from all they needed was a field goal to tie it. But Kip's got them on track, man. I think they're 5-0 now. So, Clay Kuhn, he's probably sporting his Mississippi Ole Miss hat real proud tonight.
Clay, if you're out there, you want to join the show, shoot us a message in the
Hey,
Just kidding.
I'm just saying,
kidding.
I picked him.
All right, Hunter, what I need you to do right now is raise your right hand. Okay, raise your right hand. All right, turn it around like this. Reach back and pat yourself on the back. All right. All right. So we have Oregon kicking off here shortly versus Stanford on FS1.
Gotta love these West Coast late starts, man.
Oh man,
a lot of
football from rise to rise to sunset. You know what I mean? Like from sunrise to sunset.
Now we need
9
some
o'clock
action.
this morning. 9 o'clock this morning, games were kicking off. 7:45 at night, games are kicking off. 8 o'clock at night, games are kicking off.
I mean, just think if you live on the East Coast right now, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna be up to like 3 a.m. Then you got the NFL game that kicks off like at 8.
We all know that exists when it comes to polls, man. That East Coast bias, because nobody used to watch the West Coast teams. They used to get up and read a box score. And sometimes that helped and sometimes that didn't. They just read a bunch of points and a bunch of yards, and this guy's probably doing good for the Heisman, and this team's probably needs some points, or some votes. But it's rough, man, to be able to watch all these games all day long.
All right, so let's talk about a game that Hunter's going to use the law of transitive properties to explain why Utah is so good. I'm almost for certain that this is going to happen. So we're going to talk about Oregon State going to Utah and playing number 12 Utah. Now, Utah absolutely dismantles Oregon State in this game. They beat them 42-16. I'm going to let Hunter tell you right now, because this is where we have this law of transitive properties where Hunter's going to tell you why Utah is the best team in the Pac-12. Now, Jude, I need you to take a deep breath. Breathe in. Right? Okay. It's okay.
Earmuffs.
It's okay. They're going to have to play each other. All right?
Twice.
So Hunter, tell me why Utah is the best team in the Pac-12.
Utah team that held USC to at most 17 points. I don't remember the exact score, but it wasn't more than 17. Got absolutely mollywopped, shellacked, splayed all over the field, guts drugged out.
You're talking about Oregon State, right?
Wolves.
We're talking about Oregon State?
Yeah.
We're talking about Oregon State? All right.
Yeah.
You said Utah. Oregon State.
Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. Utah did that to them. Utah pantsed Oregon State, then pantsed them again, and then one more time pantsed them again just to prove a point that Oregon State had nothing for them all day, all game. And an Oregon State team that took USC to the brink. I don't know. Of course, you have to play the games to find out, but law of transitive property says that right now Utah is the best team in the Pac-12.
I think the law of transitive properties states that right now Oregon State was spent after playing what is probably going to be at the end of the year number one team in the country.
I'm glad we have Jude on the stream right now. We have yin and yang. I mean, we have polar opposites. I can't say we have red versus blue because I know how y'all both are. I know which line y'all both go. So, yes,
yellow.
So I tell
black,
you, it was
white.
a great game. But I'm going to let the law of reason, the wisdom of Lindsay Coyle. Lindsay, tell me why this was just talk. Let's talk about the game in general. Let's not talk about the Pac-12. Let's talk about Oregon State versus Utah.
If you're going to turn the ball over 4 times, you're going to lose. Period. In Oregon State threw 4 interceptions. Utah didn't turn it over once. Other than that, the game was fairly close in all other aspects. But you can't do that. You can't give the ball away. Penalties are fairly low. There's only 7 in the entire game, and they didn't amount to much, between both teams. But man, you can't hang on to the ball. It's just not going to happen for you. It's that simple.
Now, I'm going to be a contrarian with the turnover aspect because we're going to go to the next game. Number 11, Penn State hosts Northwestern, where Penn State turned over the ball not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times, and they win the game. 5 times. 5 times. John Cena is saying 5 times.
But wait,
5 times.
How many times did Northwestern turn it over?
I don't know. I didn't watch the game.
3.
All right, so we have but still they win the turnover possession, +2. Penn State looked very pedestrian. Is Penn State really a knocking on the door top 10 team? Let me hear my Big Ten fans. I know we got number one Buckeye. Tell me why Penn State sucks, please. Let me know this. We have Schmitty71. Schmitty, lay it to Penn State. I really want to hear your feelings on it. Jude, this is a team that y'all are going to play soon. What are your thoughts on Penn State laying the egg against Northwestern?
Well, all you can do is beat the teams that are put in front of you. You know, every team's Northwestern played. Well, I don't know. It's just hard. That game's just hard to analyze without spending some time watching it. To be honest with you, but
yeah,
I'm going to pass the buck and let someone else analyze this game.
All right, college football expert Hunter, let me hear it. Why was this game such a stinker? 5 turnovers. Did Penn State just look like they're trying too hard? How did this game break down? Talk to us.
It's kind of like Sean Clifford has proven that he likes to turn the ball over. I mean, he trends towards turnovers, and he also trends towards late game heroics to make up for them. Northwestern, they don't look like a very good team this year, so they couldn't take any advantage off the turnovers, right? If you win the turnover battle, you should win the game. And even if you get a turnover, you should at least be able to get a touchdown every other turnover or a field goal every other turnover. But instead you get 5 turnovers and you do diddly nothing with it. And so Penn State they're doing the late game heroics thing that they constantly do, and it's either going to catch up to them or it's not. It's kind of hard to tell right now, but we'll find out, as Penn State's schedule gets a lot tougher as they go further into Big Ten play. It's hard to gain anything from this game other than Penn State needs to not commit so many turnovers. That's about all I have really for it. So we'll see.
All right. So we'll go to number 10, Tennessee. They stay, they didn't lose today, so they didn't play today. I was trying to make a joke. I just kind of messed on it. So number 10, Tennessee was idle today, which is probably good because they're going to have a tough part of their schedules coming up. They still have to play Georgia, and they still have a few other tough games to play. We'll update on some scores with 2 minutes left in the game. Clemson's up 30-13 on NC State. Oh, boy. Georgia Tech is up 19-7 on number 24 Pittsburgh with 3:51 to go. USC just scored another touchdown. They're up 14-7. All right, Georgia fans, if you were avoiding watching the game because you wanted to watch Wide Right CFB, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Exhale. One more time. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Exhale. You won the game, 26-22. Now, are you gonna be number 1 next week? Probably not. I have a feeling that there's another SEC team that's going to be number 1 next week, and you're not going to be it. But you won the game. You did what you needed to do. You came back. You survived at Missouri. You did fine. So we'll go on with that. All right, number 9, numero 9. Let's go with we already talked about them. Number 8. Who we got at number 8? What am I talking about here? And I misspoke.
Oak State? No.
I misspoke. Number 8 is Tennessee. Number 10 is NC State. They're losing right now. I'm all confused here. All right, number 7, we had Kentucky. Number 6, we have Jude's USC Trojans.
In progress, 14-7. We can keep an eye on this game.
All right.
You're playing a team without a coach. If you don't win by 100, it's a bad day.
Yeah, I thought it was. Well, now too, did the spread just go from change 60 points in a matter of 1 segment?
No, that was my call. I say 100.
Once again, we have number 5 Clemson. I mean, we watched this Clemson NC State game, and it was an absolute dogfight. And hats off to NC State. They're a good team. They really performed well. Just not well enough. DJU looked great, but we have a battle of 2 really good teams. Your quarterback should look great. This is a really tough game. So Clemson's going to hang on and win this one. NC State's, they're trying to score like a feel-good touchdown. It's just not happening. Let's hear it. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on Clemson and NC State here?
Not surprised at how the game looks like it's going to come out. I think that Clemson's just got it all over NC State going into this one. And I think that, when you have a running game like Clemson has, and they brought it with them today. They're going to come out on head, especially because there were a couple of turnovers that NC State had that Clemson was able to take advantage of. Fairly clean game, when it comes to penalties. And third down conversions, I think, were fairly evenly matched. So for many of the aspects of the game, the teams are duking it out pretty good. But ultimately, when you're going to turn the ball over, as we've been talking about before, you're probably not going to win. And Clemson was a better team in that regard. And they gave them a healthy win, it looks like, with a minute and a half to go.
Yeah. So, once again, this was our game of the week. And before I kick it over to Jude and Hunter, we thought this was going to be a good game, and it was. I mean, if you're a fan of just hard-nosed football, you got it today. I mean, it wasn't easy. I'll say that. Clemson, they're going to be in the ice tubs tomorrow. This definitely a tough game. Jude, what are your thoughts on this Clemson NC State game?
It was a very good game, especially in the first half. NC State was their offensive line was struggling with Clemson, even though Clemson didn't get any sacks in the first half. But they made some adjustments, man. Dabo Samuel, he or is that his name? Dabo, not Samuel. What's
DJU?
No. The coach.
Oh, Dabo Sweeney.
No, Dabo Sweeney. Yeah, I'm confusing him with the 49ers player. Dabo Sweeney made some definitely big adjustments because the first drive of the second half, they came out and had 2 sacks on a 3-and-out, and they kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. And their defense just really took over for the rest of the game. And then DJU, he played 2 great games in a row. I expected that he kind of blew his wad last week, but he didn't. He played really, really solid football. And if he plays well like that, Clemson's going to stay in the title picture. So there looks like we have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5. Fortunately, Alabama and Georgia are going to play each other. Michigan and Ohio State are going to play each other. Clemson, if they win out, it looks like they have a ride right into the playoff again after a year out. Who would have thought their down year was 10-2? After like 3 or 4 straight years to the playoff, their down year was a 10-2 year.
Second best coach in the country.
Sorry,
all right, Hunter, let's talk about it. Tell me what you think.
About Clemson NC State?
Yeah.
DJU looked like the DJU that we were all told he was supposed to be. He didn't have a ton of great stats, but I watched the game with my own eyes, and I saw him make good decisions, use his body to win the game, and do what you want your quarterback to do. The Clemson offense is just a load to deal with. Like Lindsay was talking about, that run game is just hard to stop. DJU had 200 yards passing, 73 yards rushing. I mean, that's win the football game kind of numbers. The Clemson defense stepped up. They held a good NC State offense to just 20 points at this point. Unless anything crazy happens, it's just going to be 20 points. They got turnovers. Clemson right now looks like the number 5, number 4 team in the country. And Dabo's just proving that he's still the second best coach in the country. Kirby Smart, eat your heart out. So we'll see as the season goes on if Clemson can keep it up.
So let's take a little timeout. We got our second timeout here. We're reaching halftime right now. So let's take a break and let's talk about something a little bit. I don't know, closer to our hearts. We all agree on this. This is one of our favorite segments every week. It's the Salute the Service Academies. We have some results today. We had Navy play just an absolute tight game with Air Force. I mean, it was a definite fist fight. Navy's defense is exceptional. Their offense just wasn't there today. They came back late, but they ended up falling to Air Force 13-10. I'm going to bring it to our resident expert of the Service Academies, Hunter. What do you think on this game? What are your thoughts on Navy going down to Air Force today?
Man, when Navy throws the ball, it's actually kind of like it's good. It's kind of funny. Like Navy, the team that really is the triple option team of the Service Academies, look better just throwing the ball like an air raid team today. And it's just they kind of found their offense a little too late. And, the defense was staying up all up into that last drive. And it happens. You can't – the Service Academy games are rarely blowouts. And, they're fist fights in phone booths usually. That's what you want out of them. Navy just has some stuff they have to find some footing somewhere. It's unfortunate they don't find the footing against Air Force. I'm always going to pull for Navy. So we'll see. I don't think it was a bad game, but it just wasn't enough when it needed to be enough. So it's unfortunate. Air Force played a great game. Hats off to them. They look like the best service academy team. Hell, they look like the best team in the Mountain West. Air Force is on pace for a very good season.
All right. Well, let's talk about the other Service Academy game today, and that was Georgia State at Army. And Army just kind of got roughed up today. They lost 31-14. It's not our typical Army game. You know, they really typically they don't ever get beat by more than, maybe a score. So that's kind of disappointing. What are your thoughts on Georgia State really taking it to Army?
It's rare that Army gets out-athleted like that by a lower-end G5 team, but they got out-athleted. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it was just the whole game. Georgia State got out in front, took it to Army, and they just never let up. Here, let me get the stats real quick so I can see if there's a turnover. And there it is. 2 fumbles and an interception on Army's part. Army doesn't have the players that they can go and commit turnovers like that. You commit 3 turnovers like that. It's like Lindsay always says, you lose the game, you commit turnovers like that. And Georgia State punished Army for it. They had 100 more yards essentially. Army just couldn't do anything offensively, and they turned the ball over 3 times. You don't win like that, especially if you're a team that relies on the triple option.
All right. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on the Service Academy games today?
I like the Navy game was a fun one, nice and close. Very good defenses took to the field today and kept each other's offenses to low-scoring games, and I like that kind of thing. And I think that is an interesting game to watch, and it was a lot of fun. Unlike the Georgia State Army game, in addition to what Hunter was saying, if you only have 11 passing yards if you're Army for the game, that's it. I mean, just go home because they can't move the ball, and it just shows that Georgia State's pass rush and downfield presence was way more than Army could handle. And I think that this game went to the superior defense clearly, and they had it. Hold them down to only 2 scores, and Army just didn't have an answer for them.
All right. So we'll give you a little update right now. We're under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Pitt has scored. They are down 19-14. They are going for what appears to be an onside kick versus Georgia Tech. Now, remember, this game is happening in Pittsburgh. This is not in Atlanta at Georgia Tech's home stadium. This is in Pittsburgh. So they have all 3 of their timeouts still. Georgia Tech only has 1. You're hoping that, if you're a Pitt fan, you're hoping that your defense can get a quick stop and then you can get back on the field. Right now, if I'm Pitt, I'm sweating bullets. You really need some help right here. So that's just an update on the Pitt game. USC still up on Arizona State 14-7. Joey Preciado, if you're out there, please let us know. And Oregon and Stanford are still tied up at
Dude, you're stressing him out.
Joey, you're stressing me out, man. Joey, you're stressing me out. All right.
Yeah, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Anthony GM85. He says he doesn't watch college football, but he wants to show some love to us. So thank you, Anthony. We appreciate that. He's a good friend of ours.
Absolutely.
Listen, Anthony, if you want to get into college football, don't watch Texas State.
Oh, no. Georgia Tech is about to score. I think Georgia Tech has scored.
19-14.
No, they're adding to it. They're in the red zone. Oofta. All right. So let's talk about something. Let's move on to something else. I worked on this. I was kind of proud of myself. I figured out how to use the banners. Let's talk about week 5 upsets because we're talking about upset right now. And I know we've covered some of these games, but let's go a little bit deeper on a few of these games. Let's talk about Texas A&M. Number 17 Texas A&M. Now they weren't favored to win the game. They were actually the underdog going into Starkville. But you're a number 17 team. You have to win this game. You cannot go out and lay an egg like this. And for that reason, if you lost by 1, it'd have been an upset, but you're at their home stadium. They're fired up for you. The Pirate doesn't like you, and Pirate being the coach of Mississippi State. he is, it goes back to the days when he was the Texas Tech coach. He makes it a priority to really punish A&M. I mean, you just take just a beating today. Ugh. So you lose by double-digit scores. Jude, do you have anything to add on this one? Is there anything there that just makes you think like, man, I don't know.
They got to get busy doing some ball handling practice or something. Hang on to the ball. Just hang on to the ball. It's not asking too much.
I know their quarterback got hurt and their number one wide receiver is out, Anais Smith. But they have one of the number one recruits in the nation in Evan Stewart. And they got Devin Achane, who might be one of the top running backs in college football. Not the top, but up there in the I'll say the group of top running backs in college football. Definitely a great running back. And you have a really good defense. And you just don't show up. You play really well against Arkansas last week. You really kind of luck out a win against Arkansas last week. You just don't show up this week. It's just not a good look. Hunter, what are your thoughts on this A&M game? Now, I know you're not a fan of A&M, but I know you're a fan of
I'm not an A&M hater. I'm not an A&M hater. I'm not a fan, but I'm not a hater. Really, I will say I'm a bit of a fan of the Pirate, just his personality. But you look at A&M, and you look at the games they've played, every game they played this year, the offense something's wrong with the offense. It's bad. The offense stinks. And I just don't see any way out right now for A&M. You have one of the best rosters in the country based on stars and stats and all those different things, and yet you can't do anything against a Mississippi State team that has always like a number 30 or 40 recruiting class. You can't stop Mike Leach. I don't know. You play Alabama next week, and you looked flat against Mississippi State. Alabama just killed a team that took you to the edge that you lucked out against this week. And we all know the offseason talk about Nick Saban wanting to hang it on A&M. I think Alabama's going to hang a lot on A&M this year, a whole lot. And you've got to change something.
And we've covered Oklahoma losing to TCU. It wasn't close. Oklahoma got beat. Oklahoma needs a lot. Dylan Gabriel got hurt in a game, and I don't know what the status is for next week versus Texas. But he just didn't, the team just didn't look good. We've covered it in depth. Lindsay, do you have any thoughts what Oklahoma needs to do better going forward?
Just fine. Just to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right.
They need some help. There's no doubt about it. And I was probably as surprised as anybody. I thought that they were going to have certainly a better record at this time of the season. I thought that they would have brought in a much better performance in this game specifically. And when you're looking at something like the performance they had today, everything needs help. Like there's no one thing you can single out. And I think that's both the good and the bad when it comes to a team, the state that Oklahoma's in, is, on the one hand, you can pick anything to work on and it'll get better. On the other, it's not a quick fix. So you have kind of the good and bad in this one. I hope the best for them. I can't see them staying in the top 25 after this. And I think that they got a ways to go. They're going to have to find some way to turn it around.
Jude, I know what Jude's answer would be on this one. He goes, well, all the talent from Oklahoma is sitting in Los Angeles right now. So
because it is.
All right. So I'm delaying here. I'm trying to delay. Upset alert. Georgia Tech is beating Pitt right now, 26-14. They just scored again. Jeff Sims looks really good. And all they're letting Jeff Sims do is be Jeff Sims. Go run the ball. Make good decisions with the ball. I mean, Pitt is just getting this is not good for Pitt. And Pitt was highly touted coming in.
I should quote myself from my pick on last Wednesday when I said, and I think I said something along the lines of, no one should ever pick Georgia Tech to win any game at all this season.
Lindsay, you spoke a win into their existence.
I did. Well, you're welcome.
You're the kiss to death for Pitt.
Golly, I know. Sorry, Pitt, but you're welcome, Georgia Tech. I didn't see this one coming. I don't know if anyone saw this one coming.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's somebody out there with a pocket full of cash because they picked Georgia Tech. And
no one has a pocket full of cash because no one picked Georgia Tech.
Nobody picked Pittsburgh. Nobody picked Georgia Tech. Everybody picked Pittsburgh on this one. Ugh. Oh, man. Yeah, no. It was
Arizona
impressive.
State just scored a field goal, 14-10.
10-7, 10-14.
So, and we know about Washington falling to UCLA. Let's hop back into the top 25. Let's finish it up. We're going to go to number 4. We'll click on the ticker there, and then let's go to week 5. Me working on my banners here. Talking my way through it. Top 25. Number 4, Michigan goes to Iowa, gets the W, and Iowa doesn't score anything till the very end, and they're like gimme touchdowns. It wasn't like they were competitive touchdowns. That was at the end of the game. Michigan's like, they're stretching, they're changing, they're putting on their traveling clothes, they're getting ready to go home, and they're enjoying a dominant victory over a pretty decent defense in Iowa, and maybe not so great an offense. But, when I think of Iowa, I don't think of offensive explosion, right? So I'm going to kick it to Jude. Jude is my go-to guy on all things. Tell me why Michigan steamrolled Iowa.
We'll just say Iowa wasn't ready for them. Michigan played a good football game and had a very successful outcome. That's what I expect when anybody plays Iowa nowadays.
Hunter, you got any knowledge on Michigan taking down Iowa?
I watched the game, and statistically speaking, Iowa has the worst offense in the country. It is an embarrassment. That is an embarrassment to football, to watch that offense play football. My high school offense on freshman B team could score more points than Iowa's offense can. That thing is terrible. Get rid of it. Fire the offensive. I don't care if it's your son, Kirk Ferentz. Fire him. Let him magic 8-ball call plays because that thing is awful.
Really? Tell me how you feel, son. I from one father-son combination to another one. Thank you, son, for your blatantly honest opinion. Lindsay, tell me about Michigan's triumph over Iowa. What do you got here? Are we having a good laugh, or what are we talking? If we're Iowa right now, what do we think? Are we just like, it's always next year?
Next decade, maybe.
I picked Michigan to win this one, although I had a more lopsided score than what it actually turned out to be. But, it wasn't a bad game. I think aside from the fact that it was kind of dull the first 3 quarters, it wasn't until the fourth quarter that Iowa scored anything at all. But defenses were pretty good. Michigan brought their running game, and they had a lot of yards on the ground. And I thought that other than that, nice clean game, no turnovers. It was well played and kind of interesting to watch. More fun than I thought it would be. I'll say that.
All right, let's get to number 1 Buckeyes' favorite team. We have Rutgers traveling to the Horseshoe to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Hitmen from Rutgers come up a lot short versus the Buckeyes. I think the total score was 49-10 Ohio State. Lindsay, hit me with some knowledge on this one. 49-10. What do we got here?
Raise your hand if you were surprised at the outcome of this game. There's no one who's going to raise their hand. This is my surprise face. Everyone knew that this game was going to be lopsided going in. Such was the case. Ohio State just walked all over Rutgers, and no one can say they didn't see this one coming. It was lopsided from beginning to end, and categorically, it was all in Ohio State's favor. So, again, it was just, an underrated team playing an overperforming team, and it's going to be lopsided no matter what. No surprise here at all.
All right, Jude.
Man,
what do you think? Ohio State and Rutgers.
We're usually talking about C.J. Stroud, but why don't we talk about Mayan Williams, man? I mean, he looked like Zeke or C.J. or Claret or Maurice Claret or someone.
Maurice Claret. He looked like Maurice Claret.
Yeah, Maurice Claret, because that dude came up big. I think he was 200 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he just ran the ball right through the gut of Rutgers all game long. And that was a fantastic day to watch a running back play like that. Maurice Claret. Yeah, that's what I meant.
All right, Hunter, what are your thoughts on Ohio State and Rutgers? I know you're a big Schiano guy, but I also know you're a fan of really good football teams. And
Yeah.
I know that Ohio State's not your favorite team in the world, but you do respect good football.
I respect Ohio State. I respect Ryan Day. I like how they went in there. They didn't try to get fancy with anything. They ran the ball right into Rutgers' face the entire game. Mayan Williams, talk about a two-headed monster there for Ohio State in the backfield alone, let alone their wide receivers and quarterback. Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams, you have two of the best running backs in the Big Ten, maybe two of the best running backs in the country. And Mayan Williams, it looked like I thought I was transported back in time to watching Maurice Claret play because that's how dominant he looked. I mean, he was just running over guys, running past guys. You love to see a big man like that run the football the big man way.
That's a good take.
Nice. I like it. All right. So, upset alert. Pittsburgh scores a touchdown, and it's 26-21, Georgia Tech. But Georgia Tech has recovered the onside kick. Pittsburgh has 2 timeouts. There's 15 seconds left of the game. This game is over. Congratulations to Georgia Tech for winning today's game. Pittsburgh, sorry you joined our upsets of the week. You played hard. You showed some fight there at the end, but you shouldn't lose to Georgia Tech. You shouldn't have given up 26 points to Georgia Tech. This is a team that fired their coach on Sunday after the game. I know it came out on Monday officially, but they fired their coach and their athletic director on Monday. So what this tells me is either the team really liked their coach and they're playing for their coach, or the team didn't like their coach and they were ready to move on from him. So I have a feeling that was probably the latter. Congratulations to Georgia Tech. You got your second one of the year. Your first one with your interim coach. You're trying to win the Deion Sanders sweepstakes at the moment. If I'm Georgia Tech, but we will talk more about coaching news and news stressing us out on Wednesday. So you have to definitely tune in on Wednesday to find out what's going on. The other cool thing is, subscribe, is I think we're going to have some football going on whenever we have Wednesday, because it looks like this SMU UCF game got moved to Wednesday. I don't know what time yet. I have to take a look and see. But we could have some more bonus college football on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
Stay tuned. We'll keep you in track. As soon as I find out, I will let everybody know. We'll put it on the socials and let them all know. All right. Let's talk about the giant elephant in the room, the other giant elephant, and that would be the Alabama Crimson Tide travel to Vietnam to play the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, Arkansas kept it interesting for a good long while, and then finally Alabama was just over at, they were able to over Alabama, Arkansas. The quarterback from Alabama gets injured. He goes out. They have their backup, Jalen Milrow, comes in. He's a highly touted prospect from the state of Texas. Hunter and I both know who Jalen Milrow is. He was a Texas commit for a long time. He was an exciting player to watch in high school. He really is a really good player. He's a good person. He's big. I mean, if you've never seen Jalen Milrow before, he's the size of the running backs, and he's probably just as fast. Yeah, he is not. He's not fat. He's not like the quarterback from Arkansas. He looks like a running back playing quarterback, but he can
chiseled from stone.
Too. Yeah, he is a good-looking kid. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on this Alabama game? I know you're going to bring a technical aspect to this one, so tell me what separated Alabama from Arkansas today.
Everything. They just were superior in every aspect. And when you're 5-0 or 4-0 going into this game, you're pretty much assured that if you're not one of the top 5 teams in football, you're probably going to take it on the chin, and such was the case with Arkansas, who was ranked pretty low in their rankings at number 20 coming in. They're 3-2. So this was one of these games where it simply wasn't competitive. And the scoring quarter by quarter all bore that out, except for the third quarter. The Crimson Tide took a break, and they let Arkansas have 16 points so they can at least not go home too embarrassed. But other than that, it was a lopsided game.
Money on the
Alabama's
over.
favor.
Money on the over.
Raging Cajun's garage. I'm going to read Raging Cajun's comment. He wrote a paragraph here. He said, Bama had a great day. Will Grimm with a 70-yard rushing TD and backup QB with – I'm sorry. Will Grimm had with 2 70-yard. Did he have 2 of them? 70-yard rushing TDs and backup quarterback with a 70-yard rush TD to inside the 10 line. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Miller Lite's catching up with me. Let me start that over. And the backup quarterback with a 70-yard rush to inside the 10-yard line. Arkansas put up a fight in the third quarter, but that was it. And Bama beat them bad in this game.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, I'll pretty much go along with what Lindsay said and with what Ray just said. This was one of the games that I actually had a chance to listen to and watch. I listened to it. I was with my kid. We were driving and had this game on the radio. And then when I got home, I watched the end of it. And yeah, third quarter was standing. Bama just overwhelmed them.
Oh. Gentlemen, before we cover number one, we have to bring on a special guest. Everybody, please welcome Wide Right CFB's number one fan. Not only is there a number one fan, but the pride of Dripping Springs, Texas, Christian Whitley. What is going on, buddy? You made it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you gotta get close to the mic on your phone, okay, buddy?
Yeah, you gotta get close.
There you go. All right, Christian. Christian, did you get to watch any football today?
Yeah, we were cleaning, so I guess.
A little bit? All right.
A little bit.
So what did you think about the Texas game? I know that was on at the house. What do you think?
I think it was a good game except for that huge injury.
Yeah.
Besides that, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah. So Christian is a football player himself. He's a lineman, believe it or not. He is the best lineman on his team. Would you agree, yes or no, Christian?
Nope.
No.
Oh, no, he doesn't agree.
I'm gonna be a little biased. I know that Christian is a heck of a good little lineman, and he is one of the anchors. He actually plays the left tackle position on his middle school football team. And when he's in the game, they run the ball right behind Christian because he is dependable. So, Christian, we give you a round of applause. Everybody give a round of applause for Christian. Everybody in the chat, give a round of applause for Christian. Now, Christian is our biggest fan. Absolutely. He watches every live stream. He comments on every live stream. It'll come up with Ronald Whitley Sr. That's Grandpa. And but Christian uses Grandpa's account. So this is Christian. So everybody, if you see Ronald Whitley Sr., this is who it is. Christian is a huge fan of the show. We really like having him on. He's a lot of fun, and he knows a lot about football as well. It's good to have you on. Chris, you going to hang out with us for a little while?
Sure.
All right, good deal. So Diabolical gives you a thumbs up. Doug Schmidt gives you some claps. So let's go. Let's talk about number one, Georgia survives a scare against Missouri. They scored 26 points. They got to really score late in this game to get back, and they got to keep Missouri down to win the game. Missouri really had a chance in the second quarter to really put it to them, and they came up short. Lizzie, tell me why Georgia was able to pull this off. Is it just because they have better talent, better coaches? What do we got? Talk to me.
I think that this game indicates how big a struggle it was for them. For almost the entire game, they trailed. They had a few turnovers in there, which didn't help, and they didn't score a touchdown till midway through the fourth quarter, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. They have they got a lot. Sorry, I'm just.
Lindsay's distracted by Jude.
They got a lot. They got a lot that they got to work on if they expect to maintain, their status as a number one ranked team. But they didn't turn it on until late in the game, and that's always going to be dicey. I don't know what it was exactly because I didn't watch the game, and I would have liked to seen the some more intricacies of the performances today. But suffice to say that it was an ugly win, but it was a win nonetheless. And their offensive line really needs to step it up and be better because they couldn't hit the explosive plays like they were supposed to, and they had some trouble on third down conversion. So when you look at it from those perspectives, they need help in a few aspects of the game if they expect to maintain the number one ranking and stay undefeated.
Now I'm going to chime in here. Normally, I let you guys talk, and I kind of talk at the beginning and the end. I'm going to chime in here. I watched part of this game. I really think that Missouri made it like a dogfight, right? They literally got in the face of Georgia, and they really punched them in the mouth. And I think it was a tell, like number one Buckeye says, Georgia got lucky they were exposed because they did. They don't like teams that go and they pressure them right up the middle and they get physical with them. And guess what, Georgia, you play in the SEC, there's going to be some teams that get physical with them. And like I said, yeah, the pressure on Stetson was crazy. Yep. So we got Raging Cajun says the same thing. Georgia needs to make some changes and get their heads in the game. Yeah, exactly. They're going to have to play Alabama. I mean, the big dogs.
You got to play Tennessee. You got to play Tennessee.
I mean, Hayden Hooker's a guy that can really make you pay for making misses. So let's go with that. Jude, what do you think about this Georgia-Missouri game?
And Georgia did get exposed a little bit, but you asked earlier, I think you asked Lindsay, what was it? Was it better players, better coaches, just overall better team? Why were they able to come back? Well, that's what it was, man. If it was like a top 10 to 25 team, or even top 5, fall out of the top 5, anyone back here. USC probably couldn't have made that comeback. Georgia's just got the athletes that Missouri can't compete with, and that's what it was. That's why they were able to come back. They better watch out when they play Tennessee. They better watch out when they play Alabama. Those are going to be some tough games. But like I said, they've got the athletes and the team and the coaching ability where they can recover. So fortunately for them, we're saying, oh, man, they got lucky, but it was still a win, So, they'll probably fall to number 2 next week, but we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing them playing some better competition, though.
All right. Christian, did you watch the Georgia-Missouri game at all?
I don't really think so. I think it was on for a little bit. I just don't really think I was paying attention to that game. I don't think I saw that game.
All right. Hunter, what did you think about Georgia-Tennessee or Georgia-Missouri?
You gotta change something. I didn't watch enough to know what you gotta change, but you gotta change something. And because Tennessee's coming, right? I don't have Georgia's schedule in front of me, but I know you play Tennessee soon, and you can't lose to them. You gotta take Tennessee down. You gotta take down a Florida team who hasn't looked great, but it seems like every year Florida plays their best game against Georgia, and you got to beat Florida.
It's a rivalry game. It's definitely one of the hardest games every year. It's never easy.
So you got to change something. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be something.
Just seems like a big outside cocktail party when those two teams meet.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing going in Jacksonville, Florida that weekend. That's for sure. All right, so let's move on to some other games. We covered the top 25. Let's move on to some other games and drop in some scores here. Now, I was disappointed in this game, in the outcome of this game. UMass led a huge chunk of this game, and they ended up falling to Eastern Michigan 20-13. But UMass was up for a while in this game. Lindsay, I know you're from the area. Your Minutemen came up short. Is there any hope for the Minutemen ever?
Oh no, they're not the kind of team you'd ever root for, except
a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, they're just not built that way. That's not the kind of program they have there. It's whatever win that they get, you feel good about because you don't know when you're ever going to see your next one. So you take him when you can get him. It's the kind of school where people don't expect to go there and become professional football players. It's something they know is pretty much their last stand, and and you just get out of it what you can as a fan, as a student fan, and as an alum. But they got a good following among their own. But other than that, they don't get much recognition outside of it because of that.
Tell me, Hawaii and UMass at a neutral site. Which team looks worse?
So
Hawaii.
we basically had a version of that today. Iowa. All right. So basically we had a version of it today. We had Fresno State travels across the planet to go play UConn in Connecticut. And Huskies, congratulations. Everybody, round of applause for the Huskies. Let's give a round of applause.
Yeah, Huskies.
Huskies pulled down the win, 19-14. Jim Moore Jr. is paying dividends. Look good. I actually watched about 3 plays of this game, and I realized that I had better things to do, so I took a nap. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to a game that I think matters that nobody's talking about, and that is Iowa State going down to Kansas today. Kansas is for real. They're atop the Big 12 standings, and they did survive against Iowa State. They pushed Iowa State around. So Kansas, a for real team. Yes or no, Lindsay? Yes or no? Kansas, a for real team.
Oh, I think they are. I like how they're developing, and I like what they've done so far. Today, I don't think was too much of a shocker. I think that they are absolutely in it for the long run.
Christian, answer me a question. Kansas, are they a for real team? Yes or no?
I don't really think I have an answer to that.
Just say yes or no. You'll be right either way.
I'm gonna go with yes, I guess.
All right, Jude, Kansas, are for real team? Yes or no?
I think this will be the 3rd week in a row we've said this, but if they're not ranked in the top 25, tomorrow evening I will be astonished. But yeah, I think they're for real. I mean, not going to win the any national titles, but I think they have a good shot at getting to a New Year's Day bowl game.
All right, Hunter. I know this is your favorite subject to talk about. Bless us with some knowledge. Kansas, are they for real? Yes or no?
Absolutely. They took on the Big 12's best statistical defense, the best statistical rushing defense in the Power 5, and they whooped their butts. The pistol spread option, I love to see it every time I see it. Lance Leipold has a team that believes they can run the ball on anybody. They have a quarterback that can play the ball on anyone. He looks great. Kansas looks great. Kansas is a for real team. And you know what? College game day should go to Lawrence, Kansas next week to see TCU and Kansas throw down in what I think is going to be an exciting, high-scoring contest.
All right, well, let's not give away too much on this game because we're going to probably be talking about this game as one of our games to watch or maybe possibly our game of the week. Would you guys like to see us talk about Kansas in our game of the week? Let us know in the comments. All right, another game. Let's talk about another game. Let's roll over to it. And I kind of think this one's interesting because these are 2 teams that you're never going to talk about, but they're 2 pretty decent teams right now. And that's the University of Alabama, Birmingham, the Dragons playing the Rice Owls. Now, Rice ends up winning this game, and it was a close game, 28-24 Rice. Hunter, I know that Lindsay, Jude, and Christian probably didn't watch this game, but I know that you've seen part of this game. So tell me about it. You degenerate college football fan. What do you think about Rice and UAB?
That more pistol triple option look. I love it. I love teams that run it. And at the end of the day, you know what? It was a physical game, and Rice has slowly built a physical team. And they're also smarter than you. So not only are they tougher than you, they're smarter than you. They're gonna make more money and beat you up while doing it. So, you know what? It was a good game. Rice and UAB, no one ran away with it. It was a fist fight, and it was a fun one. And I'm happy for the Owls. It's always good to see the old Southwest Conference teams win because they need to bring back the Southwest Conference.
All right, so let's talk about when we talk about the Battle of Virginia, guys. What do y'all think? What's the game y'all think about? Somebody just throw it out there. Battle of Virginia. What do you think about? Lindsay, when you hear Battle of Virginia, who do you think?
This is not the Civil War. We're talking college football.
No, not Civil college football. Battle of Virginia. What 2 teams come to mind when you think Battle of Virginia?
The 2 teams in Virginia that battle for it.
Well, there's like 5 of them.
All right, so normally people think
teams.
of Virginia and Virginia Tech, right? Virginia and Va Tech.
Yes,
what if I were to tell you the
2
2 best teams in Virginia played today, and you probably didn't even know about it? Liberty played Old Dominion, and Liberty brought down the victory, 38-24 over Old Dominion. Now, I'm going to have to go back to my resident college football junkie. Hunter, tell me, why is Liberty the victors of Virginia?
The Liberty Flames are the Wide Right CFB podcast award winners of the Battle of Virginia Cup, the Commonwealth Cup's actually what it's called. But they beat Old Dominion, who beat Vautech. So, a lot of transit properties going on here. But Liberty runs that. Hugh Freeze runs basically an RPO-based offense and is basically who could score more points. And Old Dominion just couldn't find that last bit of offense. They've been kind of struggling with it this year. I think next year that they'll be an even better team. Old Dominion will be. Liberty is a good team. They gave a Wake Forest team who just beat Florida State a death scare, really. So Liberty is our unofficial Commonwealth Cup champions because they won they beat the second best team in Virginia today, because they're the best team in Virginia.
All right, so let's talk about a couple hot seat games today because the hot seats are starting to heat up on two coaches. And let's talk about LSU goes to Auburn, beats Auburn 21-17. I don't know that the hot seat could be any hotter right now for Auburn head coach Brian Harsin. This doesn't help things. You lose to a close game with LSU, but you lose at home. Lindsay, what do you think on this one? How hot is this seat for Brian Harsin?
I think it's pretty hot and getting hotter. He's got to look over his shoulder on this one. There's certain ways that it's acceptable to win and lose, and certain ways that it's not, and he finds himself on the wrong end of those. And when you squander the lead that they had, and you let the game get out of hand like that, you're the one they're going to be gunning for. And I can't imagine it's going to be a whole lot longer for him there.
All right, Jude, what are your thoughts on the hot seat on Brian Harsin right now? Because there's a name that's floating around the southeast region, right? Georgia Tech's let their coach go. I'm sure there's a few other teams in the area that are going to be letting their coaches go. And there's this name that's floating around, and he's coaching in Division II right now, and he's a white-hot name because he brings recruiting to another level. Deion Sanders' name is out there. Is Auburn in the Deion Sanders sweepstakes? Primetime. Is primetime in the Deion Sanders sweepstakes, yes or no? Or is primetime in the Auburn sweepstakes, yes or no? Does Auburn make an early move? Can their coach try to lock Deion up right away?
I'm gonna say I think that's his eventual landing spot. So yes, I think that's where Deion Sanders is going to end up.
Christian, do you think the hot seat's heating up for Brian Harsin? Yes or no?
Yes, and I think it is getting. I think that there's still a lot more room to go.
All right, Hunter. Quickly, give me about 30 seconds on Brian Harsin's tenure at Auburn.
Oh, it's about to be over. You can't choke away a 14-point lead like that. So I hope you enjoyed coaching at Auburn. I'm pretty sure Boise State will be open by the time you get fired. So you go back there, go back to the old stomping grounds. Yeah.
All right. So let's we're gonna round off. This will be our last game we talk about tonight. Let's talk about Louisville going down to the mighty Eagles of Boston College. Now I know somebody in this panel is a fan of Boston College. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Lindsay, tell me about the hot seat for Scott Satterfield at Louisville losing to Boston College. And I know Boston College is kind of a underrated team or overlooked team, but tell me why this game was. Tell me why Louisville lost this game.
Well, Malik Cunningham got injured and he went out. That never helps. And I think that going in, Louisville actually was probably the pick. But, he's out with an injury, and that's just going to open up the door for Boston College to come and get him, who has a rather good offense, and I really like their quarterback. I think that he's actually maybe in the quiet discussions of maybe a Heisman contender this year. So it's not like they don't have some talent. They do. And what they needed today was that opening in the door, and they got it. And then they walked, and they took the win home. So I think that that's good for them. When you look at who's on the hot seat or not, it's a little early to tell, I think, too, because you can't account for injuries the way they've been having them and the way they had them today. I wouldn't be too concerned right now if I were the coaches. I would just keep my head down, keep nose to the grindstone, keep at it, and see how it falls next week.
All right. Hunter, what are your thoughts on Scott Satterfield? How long do you think he makes the season at Louisville?
If they win 8 games, I guess you keep him, but I don't know. Without Malik Cunningham, Louisville has nothing. Malik Cunningham is 100% of Louisville's offense. He's their heart and soul of that team. I don't know. I don't know what you do if you're Scott Satterfield other than maybe tuck your heads in and kiss your ass. But that's about it.
All right. Jude, what are your thoughts on Louisville going down to Boston College today?
Yeah, that's not surprising. Louisville's struggling, and they're going to be without a coach soon here. So,
all right. So that's going to wrap it for today, guys. We would talk about Texas State, but they haven't played football there for quite a few years. So we're going to wrap up our show. I'd like to thank everybody for joining in. Raging Cajun, Diabolical, Number One Buckeye, Schmitty71, Christian. Let's see who else I missed. Anybody? Miguel Martinez, the Brown M&M, Raging Cajun Garage. I'd like to thank all y'all for showing up, commenting. I think this is the most comments we've ever had. Pat Paulson. I think this is the most comments we've ever had on the stream. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna end it up. We'll start with Christian. Christian, say your highs and byes to everybody.
I think it may have taken me 40-something minutes to get on, but I think it was still fun to be on for a little bit. It was really fun to be on the show.
Everybody clap it up for Christian. Clap it up one more time.
Good job, buddy.
All right.
Thank you,
And
Christian.
he's gonna be a regular. He's gonna come on again. So have your Christian questions ready to go. Hunter, say some goodbyes for us, son.
Fire Jake Spavital.
Jude Santa Cruz. What are we talking here, bud?
hey, thanks for hanging out, guys. I had fun tonight. I hope you guys tune in on Wednesday to see our show that's leading up to college football, and we'll see you guys next week. And just remember, you cannot spell SEC without the letters S and C. Fight on.
Thanks everyone
Lindsey
for
Coyle.
watching, and thanks everyone for watching and commenting. We appreciate the participation. Please do tell your friends and family, get them involved, have them subscribe. Let's make that giveaway at the end of the season something to remember. And we really do appreciate you showing up and getting involved and sharing the fun with us. So thank you all very much.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for showing up. It's been a really fun time tonight. I'd like to thank Christian for coming on with us, Hunter for being here, Jude for being here, Lindsay for being here. And as always, remember, the team that scores the most points always wins the game. Thanks for watching.